All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our April the 12th board meeting. This time I'd like to call the meeting to order. And if you could all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So as we note, we were hoping to do this a little more in person and hybrid today, but we will be working on that later this week for our next meeting. So as we are still virtual, just a couple of follow-up things to make sure. If everyone could make sure that you're muted, and then also have your video off at this time. That way it helps with the bandwidth and all that. So unless you're speaking, one of the board members, make sure we do that. This meeting is being recorded at this time, and I think that is it. Yep, there we go. All right. All right, real quick, I'll go over our vision and mission statement. Our vision is our community inspires and prepares each student to thrive. And our mission is in connection with our community. The Sequim School District empowers staff to inspire hope and provide flexible, innovative learning opportunities in a safe and respectful environment so each student thrives. And we have our acknowledgement of the land we stand on. I'm on a roll today, so I'll keep going with that. The Sequim School District administrative and school buildings sit on the ancestral land of the S'Klallam people. While the S'Klallam traditionally come from one nation, history has led to the formation of three sovereign S'Klallam tribal governments. The Lower Elwha S'Klallam tribe, located in Port Angeles, the Jamestown S'Klallam tribe, located in Sequim, Washington, and the Port Gamble S'Klallam tribe, located in Kingston. The district's primary partnership is with the Jamestown S'Klallam tribe. Today, the tribe and district share a partnership that includes official consultation on program and funding changes that may directly affect American Indian and Alaska Native students, as well as holistic service planning for students to remain successful in their educational journeys. All right, and real quick, one thing I neglected is I'm just going to do a real quick roll call, make sure all our board members, I do know that Director Koo is not with us this evening, but let me make sure the rest are here. Director Jeffries?
I'm here.
All right, Director Stoffer?
Yes, good evening.
All right, Director Pickens?
Yes, sir, good evening.
All right, great. And Dr. Prine?
I'm here.
All right, wonderful. Okay, thought everybody's there, but just figured I'd better follow protocol and make sure before we move on and end up leaving someone behind. All right, wonderful. Okay. Well, first off, we have a special presentation I'm excited to hear this evening from the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. And Dr. Prine, I can turn it over to you if you'd like to do an introduction for us.
Yes, I would. Thank you. I would like to introduce Evangelina Shreve and Liz Stevens. They are going to be presenting on the Pacific Northwest National Lab. They gave each one of our middle school students one of these kits, and they will get to use it in their classrooms. And there are kits that they are going to give all of our middle schools, and then next year they'll start with 6th grade because 8th grade is moving on to the high school. So I would like to say thank you very, very much to them. I had my first conversation with them 2 weeks ago, and here they are to present to us. So I will let you two take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Prine. This is Evangelina Shreve, and as you mentioned, I'm the Director of STEM Education at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, and we are so happy to join you all today. I wanted to give a little bit of background on the STEM kits, and then I'll turn it over to Liz, who will go over the actual STEM kit. In July, the Washington STEM Education Foundation in the Tri-Cities received a $1 million gift from Battelle. This gift was a commitment to the Mid-Columbia community and the communities where Battelle and PNNL are located to help accelerate collective efforts in STEM education. Significantly, the intention of the gift was to be very purposeful in reaching underrepresented and underserved communities, underserved students in our community. Battelle recognized that the STEM Foundation, which is a regional STEM network, was a key partner to PNNL, and that together our organizations could help create significant impact in our local STEM ecosystem. To begin stewarding the gift, we formed a joint management effort coined the STEM Nexus Working Group. We then set forth a plan to address opportunities to make positive progress in our community. Throughout this school year, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the STEM Nexus Working Group developed, assembled, and distributed hands-on STEM kits and associated lesson plans for 6th grade students and teachers in the Mid-Columbia. To date, we have distributed about 4,000 STEM kits to our 3 main school districts in the Tri-Cities. As many of you know, PNNL has the only Department of Energy Marine and Coastal Research Laboratory in the complex, which is located right here in Sequim. In conversation with Jane just 2 weeks ago, we felt important to provide these STEM kits to the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in your school district. We are also excited that these STEM kits represent an investment in hands-on STEM learning opportunities for students who have been studying STEM remotely for nearly a year. I won't spoil the fun of the details of the STEM kits, so you will have Liz, one of our working group members, share with you more on this project. Please know that we had intention for all of you to get a STEM kit, and through Dr. Prine and Tracy, we'll assure that all of you receive a STEM kit, so you too can enjoy the discovery and wonder of STEM. So I'll turn it over to Liz to walk you through the STEM kit.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting us here today. So no worries. Typically, we would quiz you, who would be smarter than a 6th grader and answer some key questions. But since you didn't have the STEM kits in hand, I just wanted to share with you what we are bringing to all of your students. So the STEM kits themselves are essentially a series of materials that can be focused on microscopy-related issues. And the intent and purpose of these STEM kits were essentially for us to be able to help students better understand where ideas in science and engineering come from. And being able to understand that in practice, it begins through observation and how we look at the world around us. We notice patterns, we make connections, and we wonder why something is the way that it is and what does it remind us of. So we created and compiled these materials, which consists of things as simple as, a hand lens, some measurement tools, of course, our smartphone microscopy it's just a clip and a glass bead that serves as a lens that can go on a cell phone. And some the prepared slides and slides where students can even prepare their own samples. So essentially, it's complemented by a lesson that can instruct teachers how to guide students through an exploration of the world around them, being able then to understand how do you look and what are the questions that help scientists and engineers develop their own educated guesses about what they are observing. So with all of these materials, the students will learn how to explore everyday objects around them, whether there are things at home, things outside, and they'll be able to learn scale. They can compare the details of what they can capture with their own naked eye versus what they can capture with a magnifying lens, and then being able to apply those same practices and lessons with the smartphone microscope. And I'm not sure if this is going to be easy to see since you all did not But essentially, this little tool right here changes a smartphone microscope, a smartphone, a tablet, or if the students have Chromebooks, it'll change it into a microscope, and they can also be able to explore their own materials, whether through the ones that we provided or creating their own, such as, hair, grass, leaves, soil, salt, you name it, they can explore it themselves. And I'll be remiss if I do not mention that this smartphone microscope was actually created and developed by a team of P&L scientists and engineers. So I wanted to make sure to call that out. And not only did we create those lessons, which are meant to be, supplemental to what teachers are doing, we also created these challenge extensions that allow students to even dive deeper into these activities that may interest them, and provided resources for career connections within microscopy and other science and engineering fields that practice microscopy deeply. And we also do not want to forget that if there are students who do not have access, to a tablet or a cell phone, we included smartphone microscopy images so students could still participate and explore along with the lessons that the teachers would be employing. So we are very excited to share this with the students in your community. The first shipment of materials have been sent for the sixth graders first, and then the rest are currently being processed and assembled, and we'll be getting them out to the 7th and 8th graders shortly.
Thank you, Liz. Really appreciate that overview. So we are very happy that we can provide over 600 STEM kits to your students over the next week. As Liz said, the first shipment has, I believe, arrived at the school district office, and the next shipment will arrive as soon as those kits are put together. So thank you very much for having this evening, and we are excited that we're going to be able to continue to share the wonders of STEM and STEM careers.
This is Jane, and I just want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day. It is 6 o'clock in the evening. You're probably getting ready for dinner. And then if the board has any questions, please feel free to ask either one of our guest presenters. Olivia, I see your hand up.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to let you know, coming from a student perspective, that all of the hard work that you're doing does not go unnoticed, and we appreciate it greatly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. And Olivia is one of our student representatives. She's a senior this year, so she only has a couple months left in school. So thanks, Olivia. Director Stauffer.
Yes, thank you. Just so thrilled with this. I mean, so often over here in the North Atlantic Peninsula, all we hear about is Amazon, Boeing doing this for school districts, along the I-5. But here we have, right here in our own backyard, our own people that live amongst us are helping us and helping our students. And so very much appreciated. And thank you. Thank you.
And the one thing I do not want to forget to mention, that once you do receive the kits in hand, one of the greatest things that we advise is, share it. Share it with your family, share it with your friends, because this is how we're able to create that excitement and inspiration when it comes to STEM and all of the glamorous things that it can bring to our families and students.
Thank you. Olivia, do you have another question, hon?
Nope, I just left my hand up. I apologize.
No problem. Director Jeffries? Director Jeffries, I think you're muted.
Darn, and I said such wonderful things. I'm just saying how wonderful it is to have the Pacific Northwest Lab here in our community and partnering with us as a former employee at the sister lab in Los Alamos. It's a fantastic resource that hopefully we can take advantage of, and we can work more closely with Pacific Northwest Labs in their efforts and supporting us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
No, but I was just going to tag along before as we move on. Just from the board, the district, and our community, as my fellow board members have stated, just really appreciate the partnership that we've developed, and your assistance with our students is just it can't be. It's overwhelming, and we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all that you've done. And it's always a pleasure to have you back and speak and join us. And I'll wish it would have been a little more in person, but this is the life we live right now. But again, looking forward to checking that kit out in person in the future. That microscope thing looks really cool. So appreciate it. Again, thank you for all that you've done for our community and for our district. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And we look forward to working with Dr. Prine in the school district near 4th. And thank you for inviting us this evening. Have a great board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty. Well, that's tough to top no matter what we do. We have such great support within our community. Really appreciate all that. All right, moving on. So first up, we have the approval of our meeting minutes from our, what is that, March the 15th? That was like a month ago. Goodness.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you.
I second that from Director Stauffer.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, we have any changes or additions to our agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve our agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up, we have our consent agenda. Motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, Director Stauffer, motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on our consent agenda? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? All right, motion carries. Okay, next up, we would have our public comments. We have none at this time. So moving on, we have our senior representative, Olivia Preston. Floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So Sequim Middle School would like to share the middle school began to offer cohort grouped after-school sports experiences. These are intramural and in nature are mostly about getting kids physically playing with friends and experience sports at school. No contest will be played, but instruction is being offered as part of this toe dip into normalcy. Volleyball and flag football are being offered over the next 4 weeks. Track and field, along with basketball, will begin in May. OPA would like to share they're excited to bring back their enrichment courses next week. Students will experience a wide range of courses and fun. At DVS, they're already starting to plan for the next engaging with their students about the course. I didn't get any reports from the Sequim High School, but I do know that the volleyball girls are having a banquet tonight, and that softball, tennis, and I think one other sport are in action right now. So we're getting back to a little bit of a normal schedule almost. So me and Alyssa have a proposal. Should I ask that now?
I think that would be good. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know where to put it in, and we were gonna do it last meeting, but we didn't know quite how to word it almost. So so we've known that it's like a standard that works for schools, but we wanted to get like the student input in a little bit, just to get more of like a student aspect on how we feel and all, especially with all like the normalcy right now. So we were hoping that in addition to our normal board meeting, like reports that we could, on addition, we could meet with like a varsity team or the ASB team one week and just kind of go with different groups and get an intake on what's happening with them. And then we would kind of like interview them almost. And then we would report back to you guys what they're feeling, how they're doing, et cetera, just to get the students more involved with the school board a little bit more. And just to get a little input on you guys, that would be great.
Well, personally, I think that would be a wonderful idea to be able to gain some more perspectives. I know you bring some of it to us as students yourself, but I like that idea. Director Pickens, did you have something there?
Yeah, I think I think it would be fantastic. I think that voice of the student is so incredibly important. And I know Olivia is something I kind of talk to you both offline about. I think bringing that voice to the board is critical, not just now especially, but I think just moving forward. And if you can assist with bringing that voice, I think that plays a valuable part in your role.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw a thumbs up from Director Jeffries in the background there as well. So yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. All right.
Sorry, we lost Olivia for a second.
I was just saying, I just missed that. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to my connection. It just it froze on Eric's face and then it just kind of stopped.
Did you hear what I said, Olivia, or no?
I didn't hear any of that. I apologize.
I just had mentioned that I think it's a fantastic idea. Obviously, you and I talked offline a little bit about it with Dr. Prina, but I think adding that perspective, you helping to facilitate that perspective, bringing that voice of the student to our board is an outstanding idea, and I definitely would encourage you to keep moving with it. I think it's fantastic. So,
okay. Thank you. I just wanted to get kind of like your guys' insight a little bit before we went ahead and did all of that work, and then just to,
Right. Yep. And looked like we had some thumbs up from Director Jeffries and Stauffer. And Tracy, do you have your hand up there?
I do. We did receive a video from the middle school as well that I have queued up if we want to go ahead and play that now.
Ooh, yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to Sequim Middle School. I thought you might like a little tour of the different technology pieces that kids here at Sequim Middle School are able to access both here when they're in person and when they're at home. I will be your guide this evening for this short little overview of what your money has been able to provide here in different programs and things that enhance each kid's or student's learning. Since I have a middle schooler, it's nice to know what they have available to them, and I hope that you enjoy seeing what we're able to bring to our students. For many of you that have students, you're familiar with this webpage. It's clever. It's where we begin our journey. It has a lot of our links that we utilize with the kids themselves. They do have Canvas, which is their LMS system, which actually the whole school does, as well as Office 365. Some things that are particular to the middle school is we have BrainPop, and this is a great site that allows us to bring some specific content that features videos and quizzes and video games around some really fun, different activities. So whether you're at home or at school, teachers can integrate these videos that are pretty short with quizzes or challenges. They can even go into creative coding and games, and the kids can actually make their own Tim and Moby video. BrainPop was brought to us by Mr. Gentry with his digital media class, and it is now offered to the whole school. We also offer things like Typing Agent, which all of our 7th graders who go through our digital media class actually have access to, as well as our iReady, which is our formative assessment that tells us that we're on target teaching our kids. Within Canvas, which is where the kids receive their instructions and are able to turn in their work, which is the classroom outside of the physical classroom, we have lots of different other opportunities for the kids to discover reading comprehension and accessing different information. So Newsy LA, we are on trial basis to see what kind of content we actually will subscribe to. But the nice thing about it right now is that it actually has all of the social studies new curriculum, as well as the new science curriculum, as well as a whole bunch of social emotional learning targets. And this is informational text, and then it does have quizzes as well, and it does have different things that the teachers can actually look at to either talk about with their students while they're in person or assign this remotely. We also have a fun program called Nearpod that was brought to us from the science department, and we were able to actually subscribe to it. So we have lots of awesome content within this program. It is great for both in-person and remote because it can be student-paced, but it can be live-paced. With Nearpod, you can show videos, you can also have the kids take polls, and you can do collaborative boards that allow the kids to give you some formative assessment and let you know what's going on in their head. And you can do this either in person or with the kids that are off-site. So it really is a powerful tool for teachers that are teaching hybrid, for teaching both of those. We also subscribed this year to a great program called Breakout Edu. These are puzzles, and if they say kit required, we can't use them as of yet because they require actual boxes with locks, but they're awesome digital ones as well that we can present to kids both in person and out of class at home. And it is a way to solve puzzles. And if you've ever seen kids in class, some of the ones that are not as successful do really well when looking at the answers to different puzzles and problem solving in new and different ways. Last but not least, and of course what I'm most excited about, is library and keeping kids in books. Now we have Follette, which has been awesome because it has gone from our servers here in-house to actually in the cloud, so it takes a lot less space, and it has a really amazing ability for the kids to log in from Clever, so they're already logged into it, and they can put books on hold and then either come and pick them up if they're remote or come and browse while they're at school. The other thing that we got this year in conjunction with the elementary school is Beanstack, and Beanstack allows kids to keep track of their reading, and you can either log challenges or you can log badges, and it gives you badges to unlock. And then I go and give prizes to kids who are reading and try to encourage as many people as I possibly can to get reading. On that note, we also have Sora, which we added last year, and Sora is our digital book collection, and it has both video titles as well as actual print titles. And the fun thing about this is we're able to also add the Washington Anytime Library, which is the public library's digital catalogs. The kids get a wide amount of books to listen to or to read. If you have any questions about any of those programs, please feel free to ask. This program that you're watching this on is called Screencast-O-Matic, and it's one of my favorites. You could also use Loom, and it gives you the ability to show your screen as well as yourself and give directions about certain programs. And it is how many of our teachers have been able to find success in teaching both kids in person and at home. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That was cool. Okay, I think I've got it. All right. And do I have an echo now? It sounds like it. So let's move on to Alyssa and see what happens.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I have an echo too. Do I continue or? Okay. Oh, I think I'm good now. Okay, Ellen Heller would like to say that PTO Plant and Flower Fundraiser is underway and wraps up today. Sequim Middle School counselors are going to visit 5th grade on April 20th and 22nd to help transition into middle school. April 21st is Administrative Professionals Day. This is a day we recognize the work of secretaries, administrative assistants, executive assistants, receptionists, and other administrative support professionals. We are able to facilitate Picture Day for students who will have a Picture Day on May 11th for those attending Monday, Tuesday, and May 13th for those attending Thursday, Friday. Remote students will have designated times on both days. Registration for all grades is open, and kindergarten roundup and screening will be May 24th from 4 to 6:30 p.m. Students have been busy selecting their books for summer, and if Director Stauffer would like to elaborate on this one, if he'd like. And they are progressing, the school is progress monitoring each student's reading this week via a cadence, or formerly known as Dibbles. Grey Wolf would like to share that the students are very happy to be back to school after spring break. They are currently accepting kindergarten registrations for the 2021 and 2022 school year. Families may go into the website and access the registration forms now. They also have all the information on the Grey Wolf website. We would like to thank Megan Like for her work in securing both a registration banner and space on the Sequim banner sign for this important information. On April 20th and 22nd, the Sequim Middle School Counseling Department will be on the campus beginning 6th grade registration. This is an exciting time for the school year for our 5th graders. They are ready to become a part of our middle school system. Thank you all for what you do. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you, Alyssa. Appreciate it. All right. And as I was trying to say earlier with the echo, that was really enjoyed the video from the middle school. Pass it on. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, next up we have board communication. So starting off with Director Jeffries.
Okay, wow. Yeah, it has been a long time since we had a meeting. Maybe I wouldn't mind having some conversations if in the future. I think a meeting on March 29th might have been beneficial. It would have made 3 meetings in 1 month. I don't know if that's against the rules or not, but I'm a little uncomfortable with going for such a long stretch. However, during that time, I did attend a couple of webinars. One was the webinar that the League of Education Voters put on. It was with Superintendent of Schools in Washington, Chris Reichdahl, mainly talking about assessments, but anytime you can get him for that amount of time to talk about education is worth listening to. So I found that very helpful. I also joined in on a couple of the SQUIMS community race, equity, and inclusion sessions as they start that particular discussion. So I found that also very, very interesting. And I'd like to thank Dr. Prine has answered some of my questions along the way that I had about this and that. And that's very beneficial. And I really, really appreciate the students' presentation. And I like that idea that that Elisa and Olivia came up with is getting more student input. And I think we ought to start something, even though there's only a few months left in school, and continue it going next year. That would be great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Director Stoffer.
Yes. Hi, good evening. First, thanks, shout outs to Olivia and Alyssa for their work. Also, congratulations. I hear Olivia has been accepted to Hawaii Pacific University. And so, well done. And you do have to pack more than a surfboard and volleyball for that. And but congratulations. Alyssa, can you remind me what you passed something there about I have an update on, and I didn't catch it all. Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, about the sixth graders in Helen Haller are taking the books for summer.
Oh, yes. I invite my colleagues to always help with that, where we hand out the books to for summer reading. And I guess Dr. Prine, if I can check in with building F. Helen Haller on when they would like me there.
Absolutely.
And I can.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Also, back on our student voice, for Olivia and Alyssa, WASDA is there's a team currently looking at a permanent position on student voice, and you can just reach out to Logan, who I know you guys chat with on student voice items, but we'd like to add that to WASDA's permanent position, they won on student voice. So if you have the time, or I know you're extremely busy right now, but that would be able to put your mark on that too. And then Alyssa, I want to thank you back for your involvement in the legislator meeting, which we had, I guess, as I remember, that was back in March, and you worked with the student reps from Jimicum and Port Townsend on that. And so thank you for being there. And from there, for my colleagues, we have a WASDA Director Area 4 regional meeting on the 19th. So next Monday, 6 to 7:30, it's free. And then I sent out the WASDA end session, which covers week 13 of this legislation session. We're coming up on the end of the session, which is the 25th of April. In there was, and I think, yeah, it's attached to in my comments here. There's the current education bills that the governor has signed. There's 5 there, but more to follow. I heard yesterday that a broadband for rural connection was signed but I don't have the specifics on that. So I just encourage to look at the latest and greatest on that end session. And then Department of Natural Resource has, well, they have a meeting tomorrow, presentation on asset management that they're given to stakeholders and beneficiaries here on the North Olympic Peninsula. And then they have a larger public audience that they're holding on the 28th of April. And it's on the trust land performance assessment, which can register for and then follow up. Otherwise, there's, I also sent out some potential legislative positions from WASDA, and that window is through the 14th of May. And if my colleagues here or students, there's a lot of items there. They're based upon conversations with legislators and other school board directors, but those are some of the potential ones that the legislative committee will be looking at in the very near future. So welcome back, everybody, and thank you again.
Thank you, Jim. Director Pickens.
Hello, not too much to add, but yes, yeah, it did seem like a while since we've met, but wanted to mention that I've still been trying to attend the Thursday WASDA calls when they come up, which I've found to be very helpful, both because the first half of it usually they spend with updates about everything going on, usually related to COVID and different things that are happening with regard to safety protocols, regulations. So I find that to be extremely informative with seems like things changing so quickly, but also to what Director Stauffer kind of was discussing, that they do a legislative update on those calls as well, which I also find helpful. And I did notice on, I believe it was the last call, they did talk what Director Stauffer just mentioned, is the window is open for folks to submit legislative either permanent positions or new positions, and that is something that comes to mind, because I believe that individuals can submit things, but also we could submit something as a board, if I'm not mistaken. Am I saying that right, Director Stauffer, that if the board wanted to take a position, we could also submit something as a board?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So just something I wanted to make sure to have on all of our radar, just because sometimes we can, if we know that there's an issue that is pretty clear cut, sometimes speaking as a voice of all the Sequim School Board, that can carry a little more weight to it. So might be something for all of us to consider. So I did want to mention that. And other than that, looking forward to, I know we have some things on the agenda to discuss, so I'll wait till we get to it. But regarding the equity policy discussion, I so important at every school district level, and looking forward to that discussion. It's such an important issue. So I'm glad that that's something we are going to be discussing in the near future, but I'll wait until we get to that point. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, not a whole lot to share myself here as well. Just a quick little update. I did have a conversation Friday with Hank Harris, who is part of our superintendent search for our next year superintendent. And we're just to update to make sure everybody's aware that, there's still things happening in the background. We are looking at targeting mid to late May to get the survey out to parents and community. So should be connecting with Tracy and Dr. Prine here shortly to kind of start looking at that thought as well. So just let you know that things are still happening in the background as we move forward. moving towards that decision later in the end of the year. Other than that, that's all I have. I'm looking forward as well to that discussion later, and then also looking forward to our policy meeting, just to be able to do it more hybrid. Hope that works out for us, a good testing point, so we can kind of move forward and do that in the future for our next board meeting. So that's all I have. Thanks, everyone. All right, no reports today. So next up, we move on to Superintendent Report, Dr. Prine.
Yes, thank you. Couple of things. First of all, I have done some research on the equity policy discussion, and if you'd like, I can share that now, or I can share when we get to 12.02. I do have an update on capital projects. Our RFQ, request for qualifications, has been sent out. They are all due back by April 19th, 1 week from today, and then we will have a committee with a check sheet that goes through each one of those. And the top 2 to 3 companies will be forwarded on to the board for presentations on the 26th, and then the board will come back and vote on May 3rd for the company they would like to hire. One of the questions that came to me was, how much will that cost the district? And so we checked around with current projects, and we checked our last project. And sometimes the company, depending on who you pick, charges by the hour, and other times they charge by a percentage fee. So the percentage fee, the standard construction manager fees are anywhere from 5 to 15%. I would imagine the bigger the project, I don't know, the bigger the project, the more money you're going to pay. They can also come as a fixed amount, however, because of the size of the projects. So somewhere between 5 to 15%, which isn't a very good ballpark, and I apologize, but that's, after our research, that's what we came up with. Secondly, third, we have done a survey of staff of the elementary schools to determine, what their thoughts are on reorganizing from 2 K-5 schools to a pre-K through 2 school and a 3 through 5 school. And it's very interesting. We also allowed people to make comments, on why they thought it was a good idea, or why they thought we should wait, or why they thought it might be a bad idea. And people that answered we gave 3 questions. One, what is your level of working with, what is your experience on a scale of 1 to 4? What is your experience with a P2, 3 through 5 educational model, 1 being a novice and 4 being an expert? And almost half said that they were novices, about 48%. And then we had the rest of them were, the 2 middles, 1 for the 2s that thought they had a little more experience, about 22%. With a little more experience than that, about 24%, and expert would be 6.5%. So we also asked them, what do you think the model of delivering, do you think this model of delivering instruction is beneficial for students? And just in the simple yes or no, it was about 61% to 39% in favor. However, what I was interested in are the many comments that people gave. And I will just tell you that more people were in favor by about 10 votes, because we had 117 that actually responded. And out of that 117, we had 61 that thought the reorganization was a good idea right now. We had 51 did not think it was a great idea. 5 did not think there was enough info. And of the people that did not want to do it, part of that was the timing. They felt like it was just too soon to make another huge transition. So I'm just sharing those results with all of you based on what we found out. And so I will be meeting with the pre-K through 2, 3 through 5 committee tomorrow to go over these results with them as well. Any questions on that? Okay, next, I've also been visiting schools. I visited schools the week before spring break. We had spring break last week, so there were no students on campuses. Today, I visited the high school, which was really fun. I was able to get to most of the classes, I think. Everything from AP, math, we saw chemistry classes. The physics class was, it was a planning period, so we didn't get to see the physics class. Saw several math classes. I also got into the foods class, which was really fun. They were making homemade pasta. Next week they make their sauce. So I asked if they could invite us over for lunch. We did not get a yes on that, but we might. So that was really fun. And then I visited some art classes, and it's really interesting to go to the high school when you see 7 and 8 kids in a class. You know, I just expected to see those classrooms full, and I knew kids weren't there full time, but it was still kind of quiet. Kids doing their work, engaged in their learning, so that was fun. Tomorrow I head to the middle school. Thursday I head to Grey Wolf, and Friday I visit Helen Haller. And somewhere along the way, I'll visit OPA as well. And then today we did do our weekly broadcast, and lots of good information from Sonia Bittner, a registered nurse for the health department for Sequim School District. She had all kinds of things to share with us. So if you have not listened, I would highly recommend that you do that. It is on our homepage on the website. And our Rise and Prime podcast will be I want to say shown, and that's not right. Will be posted on Friday morning at 6:30, and every Friday at 6:30 we have a podcast. And starting this week, we have State of the Schools with the principals, so that will be really fun. You can tune in, and we ask the principals of each school different questions, and they have an opportunity to prepare ahead of time. And they're just really fun podcasts. You get to know the people in the district. So that's my report for tonight. I just want to say thank you again to and I know they're not on, but to the PNNL people that gave us all those science kits. That is just so exciting. So thank you very much.
Oh, looks like we got a hand up, Director Pickens.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to mention this before when Dr. Prine was giving the report about the elementary schools. I just wasn't able to click on it quick enough. So sorry about that. But I guess just more of a comment than anything else. I believe, Dr. Prine, that I had shared with you before that early in my career, I had worked at that level back on the East Coast, where they had more of a model like that, and I certainly so I've seen firsthand some of the benefits, but I did want to thank you for providing some of the comments that you received back, because I did take pause when I was reading through some of them to really question whether or not the timing on all this is the best timing with everything else going on. So I assume that that's probably what you're going to look into more when you're meeting with the team. So that was just something where I kind of took pause and realized we're in a very fluctuating environment with everything that's happening. So definitely probably more research to dig into there. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on that.
Thank you. And yes, we will definitely be digging into all of what I've had people visiting my office, and also what they've written down. So we are listening, and we're taking everything into account.
Thank you.
Director Stoffer.
Yes, echo Eric's comments, and much appreciated, Dr. Prine. It's good to listen to all these and read through all these comments, and so we can get the pros and cons and what those benefits. So just thank you for that work ahead.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Wonderful. Yep. Thank you. Okay. Moving on. Next up, we have our board business. First item would be the approval of our choice transfer for 21-22 school year. So basically, we're doing the same thing that we've done last year.
Yes, that would be correct.
Like, make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and second. Do we have any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. All right, now we've got our equity and policy discussion, our equity policy discussion, and yeah, good to see this up here. I know Director Jeffries has been asking about this a little bit lately, and Director Pickens. So let's open that up discussion. Dr. Prine, you said you had something earlier, so maybe we can lead off with that and go from there.
Okay, so I did some research on different districts through WASDA actually that have policies on equity. And Eric was gracious enough to give me Randy Paddock's name, and we have contacted WEA on their work with it on setting up an equity policy. And really what the purpose of an equity policy would be is the impact and the intersect with reducing the opportunity gap through students' experiences, resources, and access, through their social emotional learning, fostering student voice, developing authentic student-teacher/staff relationships, cultural competency, respect, and responsiveness to all students, families, and staff, reducing the achievement gap with academic rigor, academic vocabulary, upper level courses, and access, safety and security. What does it look like for our facilities, our policies, and our practices? And basically, when you write an equity policy, it really needs to be the direction that you want your practices to go. So it intersects with your strategic plan. It intersects with how you do a business on a day-to-day basis. It intersects with how you look at data. It intersects with how the relationships you have at school with your students and your staff and your families. And so I'm pretty excited about this work, and it is it's timely, and we will pull in all the resources we can possibly pull in. The board needs to come up with their why they want to do this and what our core beliefs are. And that will start this process. And as we get further into it with an equity committee, then we can, it's a working living document like our strategic plan is. It doesn't just sit on a shelf and we hope that it, serves our needs. You actually work it. So I wanted to share that with all of you, that these are the core pieces of the policies that I looked at today. And there's some really good information. I looked at North Shore, I looked at Central Kitsap. Those are the two big ones because they've done a lot of work with equity that I looked at. Anyway, I'm by no means an expert. I'm just doing my research, and I'm excited because it's, like I said, it's really timely to integrate it with the strategic plan. So.
All right. Thank you. And thanks for doing the research. And Director Jeffries, I think you're up first, so we'll just go from there.
Yeah, I've been interested in equity policy for quite some time, and recently made my ideas and suggestions more known to Dr. Prine and to President Gibson. I would hope that we could make come up with a policy sooner than later that encompasses our commitment to equity. And the policy would direct the superintendent to develop procedures, and that might include an equity committee to help do that. And educators are real good sometimes at coming up with solutions that might not have a problem. So I think we need to to be aware of exactly where inequities might be occurring and to what degree in our district, and then set up and implement procedures. And as Dr. Prine said, it would be integrated into everything we do. And then as the committee worked, I think that committee, the equity committee and the procedures might be more important than the policy itself, our commitment, because that's where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, and that's where the job gets done. It might mean that the committee would make recommendations how the policy needs to be changed, but possibly at a later date. And I looked at a lot of those state policies also from other districts. Some of them are several pages long, some of them are a few pages long. So I think it seems to me it's the procedure that is developed from the policy that is probably the most important thing. And then the process to get those procedures made might be the most significant thing, because we would be drawing from the community at large, and that would be most concerned and most affected by equity issues that frankly we as a board may not be aware of because of who we are and our backgrounds. So I applaud this effort, and I think it's something we need to get done. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Jim.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for my colleagues for bringing this forward. WASDA started out last year or the year before with designing both a permanent and then some legislative positions on equity, and that I like the nice short and then the longer procedures as I believe Director Jeffries was referring to. An item that I use and throughout work is, and it came from the Portland Public Schools, and it's called the Equity Lens. And it has 5 items there, and I believe, Jane, you sent that around to all of us. And it provides that lens that at everything we do, you look at it and does this, are we looking at it in that equity lens? I think it is very timely now. And this will probably also help with perhaps the discussions on that K3 that we've been looking at and we'll be looking at. Like ensure the alignment with the strategic plan. It's important for the community to hear these items too. I believe the city of Sequim is kind of working on something, but it's good for us to be out in front of this and set the stage. And then lastly, WASDA is currently working on onboard modules, and this is the training that WASDA offers, and it will be required at the what's called new board member boot camp, but there will be an equity training requirement. And unfortunately, I don't have a draft to share tonight, but I'll reach out to the WASDA training staff and see if we can get that sooner than later. But I really appreciate this moving forward with this. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jim. Eric, Director Pickens.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with what my colleagues have said wholeheartedly, and thank you, Dr. Prine. It's important work, and I would be supportive. I think at one point you had suggested maybe there's a point in time where we need to schedule a workshop of sorts to move this work forward, or potentially something where we as a board can establish our why around this work and how we proceed. So with that in mind, I just want to make sure everything that's been outlined sounds like it would drive towards this to be thoughtful and meaningful work that would reflect what happens at our district to make sure that equity is valued. I really want to make sure that it's not a term that gets thrown around quite a bit is a play on words, but they call it chequity instead of equity, which is the well, we're going to put an equity something in place and we're going to call it equity, but it's just more of a check. We're checking that box to say, well, we've got that in place, so we must be in compliance, or we have an equity policy, but it's actually doing the work and making sure that everything is driven from it. Like Director Stauffer said, which is looking through that lens with everything that we do, and it's really overarching. So I want to thank Dr. Prine for making this a priority, and I'll look forward to some more discussion about it as well.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. And actually, you went right where I was going to go. Is, I think this probably does deserve setting up a workshop for us to look at. And I know, as others have said, something we probably need to do sooner than later. And so, get the board together and to discuss exactly what Dr. Prime was saying. What is our why, and what is the direction, and what are we looking for in this? But it's definitely an important important thing for us to do. I know. And to your point, Eric, I watch our agency. We have these consistent meetings with our HR every week, and we have an equity policy, but we keep discussing, is it what it should be, and is it a chequity, or is it reality? And so that making sure that we have something in place that does state what we want and how we move forward. So anyway, so yeah, I definitely think we need to have a workshop at some point here in the very near future. I don't know if it's something we want to look at dates now, or we get a survey poll sent out and we can look at some dates that might work. Dr. Prine?
Yes, we will send out like a doodle poll for you. You guys we'll figure out when there is a really good time in the next couple of weeks.
I like it. Sounds good. Perfect. All right, thank you. Yeah, glad we're starting this discussion, and definitely more to come. All right, so yeah, and as we get ready for that workshop, good time for each of us to kind of just do some prep work before we get to that point, so we're ready for that discussion. Okay. Next up, we have a slew of second readings on our, oops, that mouse doesn't work on this computer. There are too many around here. So we have a bunch of second readings. Let's see, first off, we have, we have 1203, which is a new one, and then we have follow-ups on all these other seconds. So, Director Stauffer?
Yes, Director Gibson, I'd like to make an effort here. I make a motion that we, for approval of items 12.06 through long list here, 12.25.
So you're starting with 12.06, just to clarify?
Oops, let me miss that one. 12.03.
There we go. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Just, yep, there's a bunch there. Like it. Thank you. Director Jeffries?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Just clarifying, Director Jeffries, I see your hand up.
But not there. Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, the new policy 3112, lost it there, about social and emotional learning. If you read that, that's not a significant step in the right equity direction, I think. So it was interesting in reading that in detail on what that would, the social and emotional climate. If you read through there, there's a lot of equity related ideas and thoughts in there. So I appreciate that.
Good point. All right, thank you. Director Stoffer?
Yes. First, I want to go back and thank Tracy Norman, and this is the what do we call it? The Education Assistant Week 2. So thank you for that work, but Tracy especially with these policies and keeping us on track and moving through all this, because it's been a goal of, and thank you for Director Jeffries for keeping us on track too with these. And otherwise, I'm prepared to vote in favor of all of them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approval of 12.03 through 12.25. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All righty. And with that said, that ends the meeting for this evening. Anybody with anything for the good of the order? Director Stoffer, go ahead first.
Yes, just reminder on that regional meeting, which is on Monday. I don't know how many of my colleagues have registered for that, and if there's going to be more than two of us there, then that's some extra work to announce a quorum. But I just want to put that plug out there. Thanks you
for that reminder. Appreciate it. Director Jeffries.
Yeah, I was wondering, the meeting on Wednesday, the policy meeting is a hybrid meeting, I assume. I do notice that the county numbers are trending in the wrong direction. And my understanding is the meeting would be over in the cafeteria. Can Dr. Prine, can you explain a little bit?
Yes.
What that looks like?
Yeah, so what it will look like is a Teams meeting in person. So wrap your head around that one. We will all be sitting there with our computers and it will be streaming, but we will be sitting in the same room. And the way we have it set up is only two people can sit at a table at a time. There are yellow dots on the table and we'll all be facing in the same direction. We have worked out so that we don't get reverberation from the microphones. We also have it worked out where people in the audience, if there are any, can see the screen because we're all facing in the same direction. But if people do not want to attend the meeting, that's fine. We will be streaming the meeting and we will have very strict adherence to protocols for coronavirus. So everybody will be masked up. People will be 6 feet apart. And we will have somebody also, if you want to come to that meeting, you must register in advance because we need to know how many people we are planning on having. And there will be one entry point and there will be one exit point. So people will not be walking in and out of the same doors going in two different directions. So we have it carefully mapped out, and so this will be our trial run. And that I know that the numbers are trending in a direction we don't want them to go. I was shocked when I didn't look at them for a couple of days last week, and they jumped from 34 or 33 up to 87. I almost passed out. So anyway, we'll be very mindful of the protocols and making sure that we adhere to those protocols. And we will be having a staff member, actually Victoria Ballant has graciously agreed to help us since Mr. T is unavailable, to ensure that protocols are followed. So that's how that meeting will work. So if people are not comfortable, board members or anyone is not comfortable coming to the meeting, that's fine, because we will be streaming the meeting and you can still participate via Teams, because it will be an in-person Teams meeting.
Sounds good. All right, thanks for that explanation. Jim?
Yes, Janet, can we stop by Tuesday afternoon, or is it already set up? Can we just take a look at, so we know which way we're walking in type thing? Is that okay?
Sure, that would be just fine. So if you want to, if you walk in the front office, I'll walk you over there. So just let Terry know and she'll give me a holler, or you can come up to my office. It doesn't make any difference. But if you want to save yourself the steps, Terry can call me and I'll come down and we'll walk over to the cafeteria so you'll know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll try
And the
to.
third lunch is over at 1 o'clock, so I wouldn't come before 1 o'clock.
Okay, well, I'll try to after I finish up with the clinic tomorrow,
Okay.
which will be about 1:30.
Perfect.
I'll send you a note. But thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was going to say that too. We do have school going on, so making sure we're meeting that as well. Okay. I think that concludes our meeting for this evening. Still some sunshine out there, so I'm going to bid everybody a good evening, a good Monday evening, and we will see you on Wednesday.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday.